Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. I'm Zarina from National Database Division. I have one question. As we know, awareness about the health risk consuming processed food has grown in our society, especially among the adults. But the real challenge is to educate our kids to say no to processed food, such as burger, pizza, and etc. So is there any simpler yet wiser way to teach our youngs so that they can accept alternative food to burgers, french fries, and pizza? Thank you.
Right. So, very, very important question. I have given you all this information about what's wrong, but I haven't really given you any information about what to do about it. So let me do that. Can we put the slides that I left off at back up, please? Is that possible? So we need to start talking about policy and what can we do for children and to try to fix the problem. Next slide. So everybody wants to feed their liver, protect their liver, feed their gut, protect my liver, feed my gut, protect my brain, support my brain. Okay, next slide. So, keep going. So here's what happens. You have to do all these things, and you have all these questions. Next slide. And then they get more like this. And next slide. Then they get more like this. And next slide. Everybody says, I give up. There's so much to know. There's so much to know. And how do we teach children what is healthy? How do we do that? Next slide. So, first of all, doctors have to get on board. When doctors get on board, then they can help educate the public. Well, doctors are starting to get on board. At the American Heart Association, we actually wrote this paper years ago now, saying that we needed limits for sugar consumption per day. Next slide. I wrote this in The Guardian 5 years ago. Sugar is the alcohol of the child because alcohol and sugar are metabolized in the mitochondria the same way, cause the same diseases. You know, type 2 diabetes and fatty liver disease used to be the diseases of alcohol. Now they're the diseases of children because the mitochondria are affected the same way. But this is what we give children. Next slide. And I showed you the breakfast cereal. This is Malaysia. Sweet kills. How overconsumption of sugar is making Malaysians obese and sick. Okay? This is not me. This is Malaysia. You know, this is your press. Next slide. Okay? I wrote this in an attempt to try to move this notion that we need to regulate the food industry as to what they can put in food. Because if you're trying to help children, you can't tell the child, don't eat this, don't eat that. What you need is for the food to be healthy. So you don't have to worry about it. But that means that the food industry has to be on board. Well, are they getting on board? It's very slow. Okay, next slide. So we're trying. Now, in America, we've instituted soda taxes to try to reduce total sugar consumption. And we have 6 soda taxes in America. Next slide. And here's soda taxes around the world. And notice, in blue, Malaysia, you have a soda tax now. It's 1 year old. It's important. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not enough. What we've learned about soda taxes is necessary, but not sufficient. But it's the first step. So you are going there. You are doing something already. And to your credit, to benefit. This is a good thing. Next slide. Okay. So here's sort of the denouement of this whole thing. Food is medicine, but food is also poison. And the question is, how do you tell the difference between food that helps you and food that hurts you? Toxic food. Well, right now, the easiest way is ultra-processed food, because ultra-processed food is the delivery vehicle, and sugar is the payload. It's the poison, it's the bomb, if you will. So you need to understand this concept. Now, how can we change ultra-processed foods for the better? That's what you want to know. So, I do not have a slide of this, and the reason is because the paper's not out yet. And so I'm not really at liberty to talk about the paper yet, because it's not out yet. But I have been working along with several other scientists for the last 2 years with a food company in the Middle East to re-engineer their ultra-processed foods, to get the sugar down, to get the fiber up, to get the omega-3s up, to get the environmental toxins down. We have re-engineered their entire portfolio. And 10% of their items are now completely re-engineered and on the market in their country. And we wrote the paper, and it is right now at a journal awaiting, a ruling on publication or revision or what. When that paper comes out, which hopefully will be soon, I will be able to discuss this at much greater length as to how food companies can help people and how they can help governments move the ball forward in terms of answering the question you want answered, which is, how do we feed our children? I hear you. I am doing what I can, but as you know, this is a very complicated problem.